Welcome to this Great Wine Capitals webinar, the second of a larger series where we are happy to present you our Great Wine Capitals destinations. The Great Wine Capitals Global Network was founded in 1999 on a Bordeaux initiative in France. It gathers 11 members around the world in some of the most prestigious wine regions. One of our objectives is to promote our wine destinations of excellence towards visitors and to create partnerships between our members to support and develop the wine and tourism industries and communities. Great Wine Capitals has endorsed a network of travel experts in each of our destinations based on their recognized knowledge and experience in wine and business tourism. I'm happy to introduce you to one of them today, and I will right away give the floor to Carmen and Charlotte from the Romotur travel agency in Bilbao, Spain. Enjoy. Carmen, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Catherine, for your support of Great Wine Capitals. And thank you, everyone, for assisting this webinar. And let us know, let us present you our company and our region. I will present the company, Romotur. Then Charlotte will present the destination. And at the end, I will come back to present you my personal project, but also included in the project of Romotur, which is an accommodation in the countryside of La Rioja. Okay. Well, Romotur is a DMC. It was founded more than 25 years ago, and we work in the area of the MICE business and the leisure. Both are 50% of our activity, and the claim for this year is Live It Now, which I think is a very nice message considering the pandemic and the difficult situation that we all have had to stand. Well, Romotur, as I've told you, it has a long life in the business, in the tourist business. And we say that we are a trustworthy DMC with high quality, tailored experiences and happy clients. At least is what we have had to do along all these years, and is our target for the future. We organize meetings and events. We support also events and meetings organized by other companies. Well, as you can see, we are a venue finder. We look for accommodation and transfers. We organize tailored experiences in wine, gastronomy, sports, art, architecture, culture. We organize also social activities, and I think the most important thing is that our team offer a very good support for any kind of trip, for business or for leisure. This is our team. We are a team of 6 women with long experience, some more than others, but this sometimes is not a good thing because that only means that we are older. And we are a very multicultural group. We have some people like Anna Galatina from Ukraine, or Charlotte she's, well, American French, I would say. So we speak Basque, Spanish, English, French, German, Ukrainian, and we also have a very good team of freelancers that speak other languages. Well, well, now I would like to introduce you Charlotte. She's going to do the presentation of the destination and will explain you the charm of our wines, the gastronomy, nature, culture, traditions, etc. So thank you. Go ahead, Charlotte.
Thank you very much, Carmen, and thank you everybody for being here today. If during my presentation and Carmen's presentation you have any questions, at the bottom of your screen there is a question and answer function that you can type that in, and at the end of our presentation, Carmen and I will take a few minutes to come back to those questions and answer them at the end. So as they come up, don't hesitate, just put them into the question and answer function at the bottom of your screen. The Great Wine Capital's Bilbao Rioja region is spread over 2 political states or comunidades, as we say here in Spain. To the north, as you can see on this map, we have the Basque country, which northern border is actually a sea border, so we have a coast, and it also borders on France, so it's very close to France. And then La Rioja, which is a bit more inland. As you can hopefully see when I change screens. Please give me a moment. I am having a small technical difficulty right at the beginning. How comforting.
Doesn't work?
I have just a small freeze. All right, there we go. Thank you for your patience. As you can see, Bilbao is almost on the coast. It's about 15 kilometers from the sea. And although it is separated from the Rioja area, they are closely linked on several levels, and above all, they're very well communicated. In general, as you can see on this map, the distances between the main areas of interest are relatively short. And this is really a great advantage because when you are designing shorter trips, as you know, you don't want to have that short valuable time be spent in transport. So here we have short distances to get from one place to another. As far as the Rioja region goes, its northern geographical border is the Sierra de Cantabria, which is a mountain chain. And this, as you will see in some of the pictures you will see today, is really a protagonist of the landscape here. It gives it really a beautiful background. When it comes to wine, the designation of origin Rioja is divided into 3 areas. We have the upper Rioja in yellow, then the lower Rioja in a dark purple, and the red area to the north is called Rioja Alavesa, and this is the part of the Rioja winemaking lands that belong to the Basque country. Before we go any further to talk about highlights and activities, we thought it would be nice to give you some impressions, some more dynamic impressions of this area with a 3-minute video. Later in the presentation, I'll come back to some of these things that you will be seeing, and we will talk about them in a little bit more detail. So please enjoy the video of 3 minutes and see you in a few minutes. now it's time to talk a little bit about Bilbao. Bilbao is located in a valley surrounded by green mountains, and it's connected to the coast by the river Nervión, as you can see in this picture. The river has played a very important role in the rich industrial history of this area. But now, after some impressive urban transformation, it is a source of life, well-being, and leisure for residents and visitors alike. Bilbao has several areas. For example, it has the Old Town, the elegant Ensanche area, and here we can see part of the Abando Ibarra area, which is marked by the world famous Guggenheim Museum that you see here on the left. Bilbao has a metro that was designed by Norman Foster, a tram line, and buses that are becoming more and more sustainable. But to tell you the truth, it's a very compact and it's a very walkable city. So inside the city, there's very little need to use the public transportation. Bilbao is also a foodie city. It takes great pride in its local cuisine, but that doesn't mean that everything is traditional. You will actually find a very interesting fusion between traditional and avant-garde cuisine in places as simple as local bars or as exquisite as Michelin star restaurants. One of the ways that people here love to enjoy food is going out for pinchos. You can see a few examples at the top of the photos. These are basically the Basque version of tapas. It's not only a great way to discover the different areas of Bilbao that I talked about, but it's also really a great way to get a sense of the atmosphere of the town. You'll be mingling with the locals. This is what we do on Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, and maybe even other days. Another gastronomic activity that we can organize for you are cooking classes. Or if you have a bit of a larger group, we've also organized cooking contests, a little bit like a MasterChef group competition. That was really fun. It's also easy to organize really quick excursions for a Chacolí tasting. Now, Chacolí wine is a local white wine that's grown close by Bilbao. It's not part of the designation of origin of Rioja, but we thought we would mention it a little bit here as well. If you would like some physical activity, perhaps to burn off those calories from the pinchos, you can try some Basque sports like this game, Pelota Vasca, or internationally probably more known as Jaialai. We can organize demonstrations, but they're always participative demonstrations. That means you're just not watching someone play Jaialai or Pelota Vasca, but then you get to interact with the materials, try them on your hand, see if you can throw the ball or return the ball. It's quite fun. Here we have a group of Belgians that we organized this for. They had a great time. They had a great time trying this out. Another thing that this group did on their visit was they decided they wanted to go fishing. So we organized 2 boats for them to take them out in the bay. We had a few time constraints in the end, so they didn't do a lot of fishing, but part of the group asked us to help them to play a small joke on their boss. And so we helped them find and buy a very, very, very big fish. And the people in the second boat tried to convince their boss that during the excursion, they had actually caught this fish, which was of course not true, but everybody had a good laugh anyway. If you would like to enjoy water sports, you don't have to go out to sea or go fishing. In fact, you can enjoy them right in the middle of the city. Here we can see some kayakers right in front of the Guggenheim Museum. You also see nowadays it's also very popular to do paddle surf where people are standing up. That's also very popular and also a nice way to visit the city. You prefer to have solid ground under your feet, which I could definitely understand. Bilbao is also a very bikeable city. Yes, it's in a mountainous area, but Bilbao itself is quite flat. And every day we have more and more bike paths. In fact, you can bike all the way to the sea. As I mentioned, it's just 15 kilometers and it's quite flat. I also talked about the urban transformation. In Bilbao, the urban development is very active and very sustainably oriented. And so right now we have 2 projects on both sides of the river to connect Bilbao to the greater Bilbao area all the way to the sea by bike paths. And it's really, right now you can still go by bike, but just in a few years, it's really going to be a very, very nice and easy way out there. Speaking of the sea, what you can see here is where the Bilbao River meets the sea, just 15 kilometers from the city center. This bridge that crosses the river is the Vizcaya Transporter Bridge. This is where you can see a UNESCO World Heritage Site in action. This transporter bridge, which the structure, basically, you can see the structure across the sea and then across the screen, and then hanging from it on the left, you can see like a small cabin. And this cabin transport cars, bicycles, pedestrians from one side to the other all day long. So it's still, it dates back to 1893, if I'm not mistaken, and it's still working. You can also go to the top. It has some really great views, not only of the bay, but you can see all the way back into Bilbao from it. If you like adrenaline in the summer, they also put a bungee jumping offer up there. But if you prefer a little bit more low-key activities, then we can also organize a small tasting or aperitif here at the top with some wine or some cava, champagne. So that's also a really nice activity, as long as you're not too afraid of heights. In this area, I'd like to mention that there are some very nice small hotels. For example, the building on the left, it's a very, very cute hotel. And there are also some that are beachside. So if, you can be close to the city, but also have this view of the sea. There are also great venues for larger events around here as well. Golf. Up here we have the vision of this bay from another perspective. You can see that the mountains are dominating here. There's a city beach. This beach is only 20 minutes from the city center by metro. And on the left we have the very old port. If, as I was saying, golf is your thing, then right by the sea, there's also a golf course here. So we can organize a golf afternoon or a golf morning or wine and golf. Like I said, there are several beaches that are in reach of the metro. Our metro not only has rooms for baby carriages, wheelchairs, bicycles, but it also has a designated area for surfboards. This is probably one of the area's most popular beaches. It has really lovely, lovely sand. In metro, it's about 40 minutes from the city center, but by car, it will be 30 to 35 minutes. And right near this beach, there is also an underwater winery. Can you imagine? You take the boat out to the area where they store their wine. They explain how all of this works, because an underwater winery, that's a bit different. You're taken back to the shore and you enjoy a lovely wine tasting with a little bit of food before you head off for a lovely lunch. What an experience. All right, so this type of unique experiences here in the Bilbao area, they're just right by. So those are a few things that you can do in the Bilbao area. Like I said, almost all in a metro ride away or a short drive. I want to briefly mention some day trips. San Sebastian, always a favorite. This is where Belle Epoque meets beach lovers paradise. It's also a major food and cultural hub too. So it's a win-win-win situation on all fronts. Nearby, we have the Urdaibai Biosphere and Natural Reserve. This is a protected estuary that is beautiful to explore. It's very quiet, well preserved. You can even stay in this area though, as there are some very nice accommodations for small or medium-sized groups. Many of these accommodations, not surprisingly, are sustainable accommodations. And most recently, the Bilbao Guggenheim Museum has announced that they have chosen this area to be the site of one of their new branches of the Guggenheim. So we're really excited about this new fusion of modern arts on one hand, and on the other, on nature and sustainability. Finally, the last day trip that I would like to mention from Bilbao. Bilbao is a great springboard as far as transportation is concerned. We have here the Vitoria or Vitoria-Gasteiz. A lot of the Basque cities, they have double names. Vitoria-Gasteiz is known as our green capital because they have really invested in and pushed sustainability in their urban development. It's a very, very lovely city to be in. It has tons of bike paths as well in and around the city, with very beautiful natural areas to discover, bird watching, watching wild animals. Of course, pinchos here in the Old Town is also a favorite activity. The Old Town is also very, very well kept. It has a very particular form as well. They're kind of like concentric circles that go around each other. So it's a bit different than, for example, the Bilbao area, which is more kind of on a grid organization. And of course, Vitoria has very interesting large event venues as well. All right, so now that we've explored the capital of this duo, Bilbao Rioja, and a little bit of its surroundings, it's time to head to the Rioja winemaking lands. I'd like to begin this section by mentioning some highlight areas and highlighting their significance for the area. So as you remember, we had the upper, the lower, and the Rioja Alavesa. In the upper Rioja area, we have Haro. Now, to understand the significance of this very little town, we have to go back in history a bit, all right? Rioja and Rioja winemaking has been going on for a long time, but at the end of the 19th century, something very dramatic happened. The French winemaking sector was hit by a plague of phylloxera, and this decimated the production, at least for a while. Obviously, it's recovered, thank goodness. But in this period, the French began importing wine from other regions, including La Rioja. And this was really the big bang for Rioja. And in fact, a lot of this wine that was exported from this town's train station. And what happened was around this train station, many wineries were set up so that it would be easier, the logistics would be easier, of course, to export all of that wine. And nowadays we have El Barrio de la Estación, which means the neighborhood of the train station. And here there are 7 wineries that are all more than 100 years old. They're all very compact, one close to the other. So it's very easy to go to choose a few and to walk and to visit them, have a wine tasting. In fact, once a year, when there are no pandemics, these 7 wineries get together and they put on an event called the Cata de la Estación, which means the tasting of the train station, or the train station tasting, meaning wine tasting, obviously not tasting train stations. This event involves wine tasting, talks, competitions, symposiums, you name it. And the second, the next edition is scheduled for June 18th, 2022. So crossing our fingers that it'll stay that way. Very close to Haro is the little town of Briones. This is of particular interest because here we have the Vivanco Wine and Culture Museum. Now, this is not only a wine museum. Okay, it has an impressive collection of artifacts related to winemaking. It also has 220 different grape sorts from all over the world. But it's also an art museum, and a very serious art museum. It has pieces from famous artists like Picasso, Sorolla, Chihira, Okay, so it's very, very lovely. In fact, you saw a little bit of this gallery, part of the gallery in the video that we showed you. It's also a winery. So here you have almost everything. There's also a restaurant. Okay, so all in one place if you're kind of on a short a time limit. This is really an impressive museum. There are many wine museums, of course, around, but this one was designated in 2007 by the UNESCO as the best wine museum in the world. And in 2019, it was nominated by Wine Enthusiast magazine as one of the contenders for best wine tourism experience. So something not to miss when you're here. Faro, the first town that we talked about, represents kind of the first boom, the first big bang of Rioja. This little town called El Ciego, perhaps, represents the second boom. But this time, this boom is not a wine boom, it's an architectural one, because a few years ago, not so long ago, several wineries invested in some very large, impressive architectural projects by world-renowned architects. As you can see in this photo, El Ciego is home to a mini Guggenheim, a baby Guggenheim, also designed by Frank Gehry, like the one in Bilbao. And it was designed for the Marqués de Riscal winery. Now, in addition to being impressive in and of itself, it also has a Michelin star restaurant here. This work of art, I guess we could say, architectural work of art, is of particular significance of the area for the area. Some people will even talk about the Riscal effect, right? Because it brought a lot of visitors to the area, and this had very positive knock-on effects for the entire area. You know, many subsectors of the tourism industry. So this really was another boom that really brought a lot of dynamism to the area. Another small little town, but very worth a visit, is La Guardia. This is a small town and former fortress. It's a walled city. There's a wall that goes almost all the way around. It's on the list of Spain's most beautiful towns. Above ground, it's a labyrinth of very small, quaint, well-kept, car-free streets. And all around, there's a nice park where you can get great views of the surrounding areas. As you can see here, what I meant earlier about the mountain chain being a protagonist of the landscape, it's really, really breathtaking. But underground, it's just interesting because before back in the day, a lot of private residences had their wine cellars underground. So now this little mound here is full of tunnels and wine cellars. And some of these can be visited, and you can even have a wine tasting there and visit wineries that are right there under the town. Finally, we are going to arrive to Logroño, which is La Rioja's capital. So we're talking about not necessarily the capital of the winemaking area. I think Aro claims that, but Logroño is the political capital of the community of La Rioja. Okay, now this town was made important by the Ebro River, which we see here, and also the Way of St. James. So these two ways that crossed made that this city became a very important commercial center back in the day. Now, it offers a quiet, very pleasant atmosphere. It's a big city, or maybe a big small city. Quite pleasant, nice areas to stroll along the river. Great pincho bars. There's a very nice street called the Laurel Street, which is like not very long, but very quaint, and it's just one pincho bar after the other, and the atmosphere is fantastic. Inside the city, there are also some wineries. We can mention, for example, the very small but very fine Ariscuren winery. Okay, that's actually inside the city, right? And there are also other ones that are close by, but a little bit outside. I'm thinking, for example, here of the estate of the Marqués de Murrieta, which is a very imposing building and estate, very worth a visit. But we don't have to always go big. We can also go to the small and find local producers as well. All right, let's talk activities. Of course, most people, when they come to a region like this, they like to do wine tasting. Who can blame them? There are not only, as you can see, many places to do this, but there are also many formats for beginners, for professionals, in the wineries, underneath La Guardia, in the tunnels, in a picnic format. Now we all kind of prefer to be outside in the fresh air, so we can organize a picnic wine tasting in the middle of the vineyard, or food and wine pairings. If you're like me and you really like the food part of food and wine pairing, we can organize that too. This particular picture represents a very, very special pairing. Instead of wine and food pairing, it's wine and stars pairing. Not Michelin stars, okay? The stars in the sky. Now, I don't want to tell you the whole secret because that would ruin the surprise, but basically this experience begins with the group gathering kind of on an upper, like a mound overlooking the river. You can kind of see that in the background at dusk. Okay, the sun is slowly going down. You have a glass of wine, something to eat, perhaps some music or some entertainment in kind of an outdoor lounge situation. You see the sun set. And then at night, you are taken through a magical wine and star pairing. Pretty intriguing, isn't it? Very different experience, something, out of the ordinary, maybe that your clients might like to try. You fancy some action while you are here, okay? Because we've tried to be thinking of, different styles, different rhythms of activities, depending on your clients or the type of clients that you would like to attract. If you are around here on June 29th, you can participate in the Great Wine Battle. Yeah. Many of you might be thinking, what is this? Is this a new gimmick to attract tourists? No. It is not. This is actually a very old wine tradition, and it's one of the most important and, as you can see, lively festivals of the region. It takes place in Aro, so the place with the train station, and what the festival involves basically is a 5 to 6 kilometer pilgrimage to a small hermitage on top of this really pointy mountain. It's very, very, it could come from something of Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's very, very impressive. I had to choose my images here, but it would be just as impressive as this. And of course, as you can see, it involves people throwing wine at each other with whatever they have at hand, whether that be buckets or water guns or just your glass. So it's great fun. Everybody, you can't see it here, but everybody dresses in white and everybody comes back in purplish tones. It's great fun, great fun. Like I said, wherever you go, you will be surrounded by some beautiful landscapes. And again, as long as you're not afraid of heights, there is some very special way to enjoy this landscape, and that is by taking a balloon ride. This is a particularly good area to do this. It's protected by the mountains, so we don't have so many wind problems. We do this, or this is done in the morning when the wind is quite calm, but it's much easier to organize this type of experience down here than, let's say, on the coast in San Sebastian or near Bilbao. So this is also something to think about for an extra special part of your visit. If your clients are keen on active tourism, Rioja offers wonderful spaces to enjoy the outdoors, whether this is golf, hiking along the Way of St. James, or in the winter, there are some mountains that get snow where you can go skiing. Here, I'd like to take a moment to mention that Romotur has recently put together a 9-day program dedicated to golf and wine for the fall. Fall is really probably every season is beautiful in La Rioja, but fall is extra special with all of the colors and of course all of the activities for, you know, picking the grapes and starting to make the wine. So we picked the fall for this, and this program includes 5 different golf courses in the Basque Country and La Rioja. So it goes a little bit outside, you know, the area of this presentation, but many of them are within or near Bilbao and in La Rioja. Right now we have the accommodation, very high class accommodation, and a very strong gastronomic, very fine wine and dining experiences built into this program. If this is something that interests you, do get in touch and we would be happy to send you the brochure for this program. We've gotten some nice feedback on it, and we're really excited and to be able to kind of put this into action. Finally, I'd like to say a few words about accommodation offerings in the region. They're quite varied. But the other thing is that they offer more than just a good night's sleep. Okay, they range from small boutique hotels such as this one. We also have some stunning historical buildings such as this former convent, which has been transformed into really a top-notch hotel. And there are even some wineries that have hotels. This is an example of one that's quite modern. In this one, though, I particularly like that the views from this building, it's kind of like at one point when you're looking through the window, the building melts away and you're just in this magnificent landscape around you. So you see that these accommodation options can bring together architecture, they can bring together history, winemaking, and let me not forget wellness. Some of them have spas. So we all sometimes have that moment where we need a little massage or a moment in the sauna. So that is also available. All of these activities are, of course, adaptable to MICE, our business situations. We have the convention centers in almost all of the main cities. We also have much more unique venues here. For example, the cathedral, as we call our Bilbao football stadium. So here we've had events before and everyone was really happy. In the Urdaibai Biosphere Natural Reserve, there are some houses that would be appropriate for smaller, medium groups, not just housing, but also, you know, a barbecue or some nice meal. And finally, of course, the wineries. Some of the wineries offer some spaces to have business meetings. This particular one I do want to mention, though. This one has a kind of a cave atmosphere underneath. You can kind of guess here by looking at it. And we've done some blind dinners. So you put on a mask and you're served your dinner and you can't see anything. And that's also very, very special because it gives you a different connection to your wine and to your food. And it's a really, really different but really fun experience as well. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Carmen for a few minutes and then we'll get to some questions.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. Thank you very much for your presentation. And now I would like to present my house. Well, it's my family house because I think it's important to know that it's not only the big icons and the big wineries or hotels that represent Bilbao Rioja, but also we have a lot of small villages, very quiet and very nice, where are very good options for those looking for something different out of the beaten track. So, well, one of these places is the house where I spent my summers when I was a child. And well, this is a house that we have restored. It has a capacity for up to 14 people. We have 6 double rooms and also some extra beds in the living rooms. We have a garden, a choco, What a choco is what we call in the Basque Country like a dining room with the typical fire and the traditional constructions. So it's good for a dinner or lunch or whatever. We also have a nice small cellar where we have these some wines that are not so popular, but that belong to small wineries around the village. So well, we like to very much to deal with these local producers, families that make very, very wonderful wines. They are not so popular, not so well known, but really good wines. And the visits are very nice because they are very warm. The producers and the owners show you their houses and their wineries with very, very enthusiasm. This is the view of the village, and so as you can see, it's very small and suitable for anyone looking for a different experience. Obviously, the most attractive places or the most well-known areas are the ones that Charlotte has shown you, but well, this is another option for different tastes. So that's all for now. Thank you very much. And well, if you have some questions, you have the Q&A option to send us your questions, and we'll be very happy to answer. Also, you have our contact, and if you need to further information or any other program or anything you need, we are ready to help. Thank you very much. And of course, I remind you that in the next webinar will be in July, the 15th July, and the region of mine, Rheinhessen, with our friend Matthias, will be the next webinar. And of course, after summer, we will bring you some more regions and experiences. So I don't know,
we're
Charlotte?
looking forward to that. I think we do have some questions, so I am going to stop my screen here. Stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, I see that some people is asking for the Golf and Wine program. That's, yeah, of course, we'll be happy to send you the program. And also someone is asking for the name of the village. The name of the village is Errameyuri. I will write it. And it's very close to, sorry. It's very close to Aro, Casa la Reina, and also close to Santo Domingo de la Calzada that is on the pilgrim route.
It's actually a quite nice area to do the Pilgrim St. James route. It's relatively flat. If you catch it in the north, you're going to have to do a little bit more mountains and hills. So depending on what you're up for, that can be something. All right, the west. And
yeah, I think someone asked also about visiting the Palacio Lezama Leguizamón. And well, this is a palace in the area of Guecho, and it's a private house. So, well, if there is very, very interesting in visiting, we could try and we could make some tries, but it's not open to the public. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, do we have any more questions?
I don't see any more questions, but I am in the chat. I am going to go ahead and put the link to, in case anyone missed Porto's webinar, I just put the link in there to the recording of Porto's. webinar. If you know someone who would, or you think this would be of interest, our presentation, to someone you know, there will also be a recording of this posted on the Great Wine Capitals, and also on our, we'll make sure to send that to you as well. And if you need the link to sign up for the Mainz webinar in Germany, I just put the link in the chat for you as well. All right, I think that about wraps it up. We'll stick around just in case some last minute questions come up that you want to put in the chat. Let's see. We had one more question. I'd like to make a trip to follow the route of the origin. Victoria, could you give us a little bit well, if you contact us, Victor, we'd love to discuss this idea with you. I'm not exactly sure, but I have some ideas, and I think,
I suppose you mean he means the book El Origen.
Okay.
I suppose, but we can deal directly with him.
Great idea. That's right. I'm going to copy and paste again our contact info just in case you missed it at the top. There we go. Carmen's or my email, and we would be happy to chat with more ideas for programs, and of course send you what you need.
I would like also just to let people, your audience and the participants, know that once they will be leaving this webinar, there will be a very short question form where they can ask for further question if they have, or leave their contact to be contacted again. So that makes it easy for you to get by to your people.
Catherine, what would we do without you? Thank you so much for your support. Catherine is our coach for all of our webinars here from the beginning and to the end. So we're really happy to have you supporting us here, Catherine, from Great Wine Capitals, but also the technical support. Thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. I'm happy, and I hope that all the participants will have enjoyed your great presentation, and that they now want to send either to go themselves or to send their clients to this beautiful wine region.
I hope that's what we've inspired you to do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will close this webinar, and we'll see you next month in Mainz, Rheinhessen.
That's right. Looking forward to it. I don't know if Matthias is here in the background, but we're excited about your presentation.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.